Good afternoon. I'd like to call to order the meeting of the Wilmington Cable, Video, and Telecommunications Commission, public hearing for Thursday, June 27th, 2024. I am Commissioner Maria Cabrera, and this is the anchor location for the meeting today. I will now turn over to Trippy Congo, President of City Council and Chair of the Cable, Video, and Telecommunications Commission.
Hello, and thank you, Commissioner Rivera. First, I'd like to do a roll call for all of the CVT commissioners. Commissioner Bracy, Commissioner Fields,
Present.
Commissioner Cabrera,
Present.
Commissioner Farik,
Here.
Commissioner Kelly Williams,
Present.
Commissioner John Rego,
Present.
and I will go back up to Commissioner Bracy, and Commissioners Terrence Williams and Bob Goff have been excused. I would also like to acknowledge others that are in attendance this afternoon. Marshall Bassanite, the Senior Legislative Advisor and CFO for City Council, John Stant, Assistant City Solicitor, and Anita Hawks, Legislative Admin Assistant. If you can please review the draft minutes from the March 28th, 2024 Cable, Video, and Telecommunications Commission meeting.
Excuse me, Mr. President. I thought the one I heard the president may have been Councilmember Bracy. Did Councilmember Brigida Fields respond?
Yes, she did.
Okay, so we got both of them. Thank you.
I didn't hear Bracy. Commissioner Bracy is also in attendance?
She's logged on.
Is she? Okay.
Yes,
All
so
right,
I'll
thank you.
check it off. Thank you.
I'll accept the motion to adopt the March 28th, 2024 CVT minutes.
So moved.
Second.
Motion has been moved and second. The March 28th, 2024 CVT minutes have been adopted. On to new business. Discuss the 5-year extension renewal of the cable franchise agreement between the City of Wilmington and Comcast by outside counsel Best, and Krieger, Gerard, Lavery, Lederer, Esquire.
In the chambers, we do have present Caitlin Ganley, Senior Director of Government and Regulatory Affairs. And we also have Jessica. Sorry, I didn't get your last name. Good. So who will be presenting? Will they be online? Okay, so if you can step up to the seat there, both of you can come up. The microphone is there. Make sure it's working. And who's going first?
He's on Zoom.
Okay, and then on Zoom, Mr. President, we have the outside counsel. So they'll start first, and then Comcast will do their presentation. Thank you for joining us.
Okay, thank you.
All righty. I'm gonna share my screen then, please.
We can see the screen. We just need to hear you.
Perfect. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, just a little bit louder, please.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you.
So we're going to go through the presentation. It's going to look an awful lot like what we presented back on March the 28th. The differences between now and then, we now have reduced all this to writing. Everything is outlined in an agreement, and the presence of our colleagues here from Comcast reflects that, in fact, we're ready to move forward, and the matter is ready to go. Am I moving the slides, or how is that? Okay.
May I ask, Mr. Chair, may I ask a question? It's Commissioner Rego.
Yes, you may, Commissioner Rego.
Yeah, okay, I just want to be clear, and Jerry, you may have just said this. We've been talking about leading up to a new agreement, and you're now about to give us the details of the new agreement.
That's absolutely correct, Commissioner, if you include as a new agreement an extension of the existing agreement. right? Because that's what we're doing. I mean, we are taking the existing franchise and we are amending it where we need to amend it. I think our theme was, our goal in the extension negotiations was to keep what we have and improve on what we need. And that's what we're about to go through here. And in fact, we had outlined the terms earlier in March. We hadn't reduced all those terms to writing. We have now done that, and the Comcast is agreed. The other thing is we were able to work through some of the issues, some of the transition issues, especially in the HD world, where there are some questions on which equipment comes from whom, who's responsible. We've worked that all out. And so, yeah, so, I mean, what we've done is everything that existed in everything that's in the 2012 franchise stays exactly the same unless it is addressed in this agreement. And in this agreement, we will address build out, PEG support, the HD conversion, and simply recognize that the law changed around us. This 621 was an FCC proceeding that talks about what Comcast might be able to charge us. And in fairness, it gives Comcast public credit for providing complementary things that they might otherwise be able to charge for.
Just one follow-up,
Yes, sir.
and I'll keep quiet, and that is, once this is presented today, and if there are no hiccups along the way, then the city and Comcast is ready to sign this extension.
We believe, the law department believes, that because of the length of the extension and because we are up on the 12 years, everyone is ready to sign it, but we still have to go through the technical requirements. And so on July the 9th, if you give us approval, on July the 9th, we will have first and second reading. John Stanton, the law department, will take the agreement and will append to that the official, form for under Wilmington code for moving the adoption. So that would take, again, our game plan is on July the 9th, that would be introduced for first and second reading. Because there has to be a hearing under the act. And again, we're treating this as if it's a formal renewal when it is only an extension, but just to make sure that we're crossing all of our T's and dotting all of our I's, we will have a public hearing on the extension, and that will take place either on August the 27th or September the 3rd. Wilmington professional staff needs to find that best date. Obviously, that will need to be publicly noticed. We will have presentations from both the city of Wilmington and from Comcast, and then we hope that there will be the third reading and formal adoption on September the 5th.
If I can interject, I'm so sorry to interrupt,
Please.
Mr. President, if I may. I do have a correction that the first and second reading will be on July 11th. Just wanted to
July
make
11th.
sure for the record that's corrected.
Great.
Thanks, man.
Thank you.
I'll do that right now.
Thank you very much for that outline. I appreciate it.
Oh, I'm getting to read it, John. It's your staff that has run this whole thing. So
Sure. Yep.
I pass your gratitude on to them. So if we could go to the next slide. We can skip, okay. So just, again, to bring everyone up to date, we have, in 2012, the city entered into a 12-year agreement. That agreement expires on November the 18th of this year. If the time frame and the timetable is followed, we will actually have this all in place and ready to go before our franchise would otherwise have expired. Again, we're calling it an extension, not a renewal. That has made things a little bit easier to move forward, but it will have the exact legal enforcement the terms and power, and and that might be a good question that we might want to ask our friends from Comcast when they testify. Do they agree with that position? Next, please. Okay, so build out was really interesting, and in fact, Commissioner Rego raised this the last time and said, whoa, what are you talking about? I thought we already had this. What the existing franchise says is that if there are at least 40 residents per proposed linear mile of cable plant, they are guaranteed service without any additional payment for the build out to them. What our goal was to get rid of that number, and just have a flat out commitment that anyone within the city of Wilmington is guaranteed that they will have access to Comcast service for no additional cost. Next slide, please. So what the extension does, it will amend existing section 2C to in fact provide that promise that if you are in the initial franchise area, i.e. the city of Wilmington, then you get all of, you have this. We don't think that the city of Wilmington is going to annex any areas anytime soon, but just in case it does, we do in fact address that. And you'll see that this is where Commissioner Rego, we actually got an improvement since when we last talked. Comcast offered that they would provide service to anyone where the density was 20 homes per mile. So we cut in half the requirement. And again, so just a reminder, all other terms of 2C remain in force. And I know that's going to get a little redundant, but we just want to emphasize it over and over and over again, that unless this extension speaks to a section specifically, then the current franchise is honored and is still fully enforceable. Next slide, please. PEG support, the last time we met, I think part of really one of our goals was to share with the commission that on a national basis, PEG is coming under a challenge. It's coming under a challenge in that there are fewer subscribers, and then so therefore there's less support available. But also in an awful lot of other communities, we're finding that the PEG the PEG programmers, the PEG managers of the world are out there looking to do some fundraising on their own. And, we wanted to make sure that that was crystal clear, but that was one side of the equation. The other side of the equation was to make sure that we were guaranteed no less than a certain amount of money per year. And Comcast started the negotiations with offering us $90,000 per year, or 85 cents, whichever was greater. We liked that idea, but we were hoping to increase the contribution per sub per month, but we wanted to keep that floor of 90,000. Next slide, please. And so what we're proposing is that PEG support, I say we're proposing, but I should say what Comcast has agreed to, so it's more than just a proposal. What Comcast has agreed to do is to provide us with PEG support in an amount equivalent to 95 cents per subscriber per month. But that in no case will that ever fall during the 5-year period to less than $90,000. And so we're guaranteed over the life of this $450,000, almost $500,000 in PEG support, and it may in fact reach closer to that $500,000 because of the 95 cents per sub per month right now is projected to provide, somewhere closer to like 110, 115. So that's where we are with respect to PEG in the extension. Next slide, please. The other interesting thing, and again, Commissioner Rego asked this question when we last met, there was a commitment to go to HD in the franchise, but that commitment was contingent upon things that happened external to the city of Wilmington. We've moved far enough along that we thought that it was time to remove the uncertainty and to establish a schedule for the HD conversion and to protect folks that may not have equipment to, in fact, receive HD. Next slide, please. And so what Comcast and the city have agreed to is that upon our notice, right, when we ask Comcast that we'd like to move either the government, the education, or the public access channel, any one of the three, when we ask them to make it available in HD, they get 90 days to do the engineering, right? The commitment's immediate, but the 90 days, it does take time to do engineering. Nowhere in the country can you, I'm not familiar with a single franchise in the country where you could say, hey, we want HD, and it's there the next day. There's always a break in time, engineering time, and 90 days is typically one of the shorter times. So we get it upon written notice, we get it within 90 days, and then more importantly, or as importantly, Comcast is going to leave it any of the HD is high definition, SD is standard definition, right? Okay. Comcast will not remove any SD channel for at least 2 years, after the HD channel is up and operating. And when they do discontinue carriage of the SD versions of the PEG channels, Comcast will make available to any basic service customer who does not already have an HD converter device or a device to see it in HD, one HD capable device at no additional cost upon request. So again, we heard everything that the commission said, that we want to go to HD, but we don't want to leave anyone behind. And so what this says is that for at least 2 years after HD is there, the SD channel will be there. If after that time Comcast chooses to reclaim that channel or that bandwidth, they will pay, at their expense, they will provide the converter for anyone to be able to see HD. So again, I think we were consistent with the guidance that we heard from this commission. Next slide, please. Again, the whole 621 effort is an external force that impacts our relations, and we wanted to make sure that as we go forward, that our franchise extension was in compliance, and we've done that. Next slide, please. Okay. And we've done it because, as you look at the summary, right, first of all, it will provide for the maximum allowed cable franchise fee. I am told that that's approximately $3.5 million for this year. It will provide for continued financial support for community programming, PEG programming, again, no less than $450,000 over the term, and will be more because we know for the next year we're above the 90,000 guaranteed. It will provide for community programming to be carried in HD. It will ensure that all residents have non-discriminatory access to services, and the service will be extended to any new area with at least 20 homes per mile, again, an improvement of by half. And that and this is the 621 order section, right? All existing franchise benefits that we have from Comcast, such as complimentary services to buildings and the cost of customer service standards that are greater than the FCC standards that we have, all of those will be maintained, and there will not be any claim for an offset against those during the life of this extension. Next slide, please. I think.
Mr. Chair, I do have a question about the last slide.
Please.
Yes, Commissioner Riga.
Okay.
Can we go back to the slide so we can see the?
Okay. Yeah, this is on the franchise. The amount coming to the city, the maximum allowed cable franchise fee is based on subscribers.
That's correct.
Okay. And number two.
I'm sorry. No, that's it. You're exactly right, Commissioner, but just in case somebody else is watching and they,
yeah.
It's based on not only, it's not technically based on subscribers, it's based upon subscribers, subscription rates and how much they pay, because the gross revenue definition says that we capture 5% of any of the income that Comcast generates from cable service in the city of Wilmington. Now, let me explain that just a little bit so that people get it. It's not just what you pay Comcast for your service, but Comcast also sells advertising within the city of Wilmington, and that's captured. If someone uses Comcast system to provide cable services, then that's also captured. So the definition of gross revenues was a very good definition that this commission fought hard for in 2012, and we do not touch that definition. That definition, it's really state of the art, even though we're 12 years later.
Okay, very good. And but it comes back to the subscribers is still a factor in this
Yes.
whole equation. And
Yes.
so in this case, I'm going to be rooting for Comcast
Yes.
to keep those numbers up because that'll obviously benefit the city. Now, number two is not subscriber influenced in that it is a guarantee of 450,000 over the term, no less than.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
That's exactly, you're right. The
Okay.
first number is a variable.
Yeah.
It's variable in terms of what the actual dollars and cents are. It's not variable in that we are requiring, Comcast is agreeing to the maximum amount allowed under federal law.
Right. Okay, thank you very much.
Absolutely. Mr. Chairman, could I just add one point? And I didn't put it in the PowerPoint, and shame on me for not doing it, but your staff has been untiring in saying that we want to get this done. We also want to explore means to bring other cable operators to the city of Wilmington. That's not a disparaging remark about Comcast. That's simply a commitment or a desire on the city of Wilmington's behalf to give people as many choices as possible. So we will continue to look at that, and we may be coming back to the commission with ideas on steps that you might want to take or that the council might want to take in exploring how we could attract other cable operators to the city of Wilmington. By the way, the Comcast franchise anticipates that type of competitive entry and does require us in the city to be fair. That is, we would have to require of any new entrant similar or identical terms. But like for instance, a new entrant coming in wouldn't have to owe us $90,000 necessarily, but they would need to make a commitment equivalent to sort of the 95 cents for each one of their new customers, that type of thing. And a new entrant would have to provide for the maximum franchise fee. But again, we are thrilled to bring this extension to you, but we don't want anyone to read this as being Wilmington is finished with bringing competitive cable choice to the residents of the city of Wilmington, because that's not the case.
Mr.
Okay,
Chair,
thank you. Yes, Commissioner Rego.
yeah, I have one question. Well, I have a comment first. First comment is we need competition. We at one point were entertaining a franchise agreement from Verizon. That didn't work out. We've tried over the years to get Verizon back into the city so they could offer their services. So whatever we can do as a city to bring other cable or other video providers, we should be doing that. And I congratulate the city council staff for making that a priority. Here's my question. My question is, I really think it's important to tell the people who are cable Comcast subscribers in this city, we should talk for a minute, and I'm happy to do it when we invite our Comcast guests to speak in a minute. But I think we should talk about customer service for a second. Are there any provisions, were there any discussions about customer service? Because I mean, you know, I will just state it. You know, Comcast customer service is not good. And was there any discussion at all of including something in this agreement So that, for instance, a subscriber trying to contact Comcast can actually talk to a human being.
Commissioner, remember what I said, that unless an issue is spoken to specifically, the existing rules apply, the existing franchise applies.
Yeah.
You fought very hard in 2012 to not only have the FCC's customer service standards applied, but also there were some improvements on that are in the agreement. So we didn't want to touch any of that because it was as good as anywhere, if not better. So those are there now.
Okay.
I think that what we want to do is we want to make sure that the public that's viewing this, and each of the council's constituents, understand that we do have safeguards in place, and that if there's an issue, they need to come to the city so that we can enforce the standards. I mean, yeah, I mean, a lot of times the standard can't be enforced unless somebody says it's being violated.
Sure.
And we can hear these things anecdotally, but unless somebody does that, yeah.
All right, thank you.
Mr. President, we have a question from inside the chambers. May we proceed?
Yes.
Yes, you may, thank you.
Yeah, we have Ms. Marshall Basnight, our Senior Legislative Advisor and CFO for City Council. You may proceed, Ms. Rowe.
WITN, if you can just put up the last slide. I just want to share for the commissioners so that when it comes down to funds, so that $450,000, no less than the minimum over the term. So as Jerry said, that does break down to no less than $90,000 a year. But I just want you to understand that that also includes funds, like if we need to pay for the cost of the lease for our TPO, if we need to pay for equipment for WITN, all of that, comes out of that one pot of money. So for example, if our TPO lease agreement is like $110, and if we receive like a minimum of 90, so I just want everyone to know like the numbers that we're working with versus before, because we do understand that the number of subscribers has gone down. And on another note, when it comes to our franchise fees, that 5%, now that typically equates to the amount of WITN's operating budget, because the number of subscribers has gone down. And also to touch on a point regarding what Commissioner Rago just mentioned regarding customer service standards, we did talk about that in our internal discussions. And when we have our public hearing, we are going to put notice out for the public to come in, and if they have some concerns or anything that they would like to address with Comcast will be more than willing to address those at that time as well. As well as Comcast is here today, they are going to speak to some of that as well. So I just want to mention that for the record.
Thank you.
Are there any questions from any commissioners? Any comments from anyone in the public?
Is there anyone here that would like to speak, sir? Did you want to? Okay, thank you. We do have someone here, but they're not going to speak. Thank you. There's no one in the chambers, Mr. President, unless any of the council members online have their hands raised. We have no questions.
Okay, thank you. Are we moving on to the next presentation?
Yes, Mr. President.
Okay, thank you. This time we're going to have a presentation by Comcast on the cable services to the city of Wilmington by Ganley, Senior Director of Government and Regulatory Affairs. We discuss the draft TPO sublease agreement.
Great. Thank you. And Ms. Caitlin is already seated and ready to proceed. So whenever you would like to start, we are ready for you. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, Council, President Congo, and Madam Chair, and members of the Commission. Thank you for hosting this hearing and allowing us an opportunity to address you. As mentioned, my name is Caitlin Ganley, and I'm the Senior Director of Government Affairs at Comcast. I'm joined seated with me, my colleague Jessica Sibley, who is the Manager of Government Affairs, and Stephanie Costa, the Vice President of Government Affairs for Comcast Freedom Region, is joining us via Zoom. Jerry did if we could go to the next slide. Jerry did a wonderful job outlining the 5-year extension. So I just want to provide you a list of the benefits from the agreement, and then I'll provide an overview of Comcast and what we can provide within the city with the partnerships that we have made and the programs that are available. So as Jerry mentioned, Comcast and the city have agreed to a 5-year extension, and we've agreed to 5 major topics. First, Comcast will provide a 5% franchise fee, which is the maximum allowed by the federal government. This should provide the city with approximately $3.5 million over the 5-year extension. Second, Comcast has agreed to upgrade all 3 PEG channels to high definition. Third, Comcast will continue to fund the community channels with at least $450,000 in support over the next 5 years. Fourth, Comcast will continue all municipal benefits, including complimentary accounts and customer service obligations. And finally, Comcast has confirmed that we are fully built out throughout the city of Wilmington. So just to touch on that one topic, though, that brought up by Commissioner Rego in regards to customer service, I understand that that is a concern of the commission. I'll be fully prepared at the July 11th meeting to address any of the issues brought by residents in the city, but I just want to make you aware that we are continuing to invest in our standards. We do have call technicians on call 24 hours a day. We do have our technicians right here in Newcastle County that are available to roll out on same day issues. And both Jessica and I have worked with members of City Council as well as other elected officials for any residents that call you directly. We handle those escalations ourselves. So that is something that we're always continuing to strive to be better at. But again, I'll be more available on July 11th. Hopefully we can have a list of concerns that I can address directly. And so beyond the franchise agreement, I would like to highlight some of our products that we can offer and partnerships that we've made throughout the city. Comcast Smart Solutions, which is on this slide, is an opportunity to be innovative in the city of Wilmington. Every solution we have helps design put the right technology in the right place for you. Tools to help manage operating costs and help improve sustainability with technology that measures air quality, detects leaks, and monitors energy use. Wall to wall, floor by floor, block after block, we see potential. Our goal is to customize, optimize, and personalize smart technology to empower communities just like Wilmington to operate at their best. Our goal is to make simple, smart for the city of Wilmington. Next slide. This slide is about Project Up. It is our comprehensive initiative to advance digital equity and help build a future of unlimited possibilities. Backed by a $1 billion commitment, that is billion, to reach tens of millions of people, Project Up encompasses the programs and community partnerships across Comcast, NBC Universal, and Sky. We have opened 9 lift zones right here in the city of Wilmington to provide students and families with access to free, high-capacity Wi-Fi. And those 9 lift zones aren't the only partners we work in with the city. Some of those partners include Nerdit, Metropolitan Wilmington Urban League, Tech Impact, Coded Differently, the Latin American Community Center, and the Friendship House, just to name a few. Next slide. I know we're talking about the cable franchise, but we also believe it's important to highlight internet access within the city. Next slide. Over the last 10 years, Comcast has connected over 10 million low-income Americans to internet across the country, 148,000 of those being right here in Delaware. Our Internet Essentials program kicked off in 2011 right here in Delaware, and since that day, our price has stayed consistent at $9.95 per month. Next slide. As many of you are aware, the Affordable Connectivity Program ended in May of this year due to a lapse in funding from the federal government. It's important that customers understand that Xfinity is committed to helping ACP participants find the right package to stay connected to fast, reliable internet at an affordable price. This includes Reliable Internet Essentials and Internet Essentials Plus, which are at $9.95 a month and $29.95 a month, respectfully. In addition to these two programs, Comcast recently introduced Now, a new line of reliable, low-cost products that customers can purchase month to month with no credit checks or additional fees. And next slide. As you can see here, Comcast has speeds to meet everybody's needs. We are committed to the city of Wilmington and working with you and your residents to end the digital divide. Next slide. And at this time, if you have any additional questions, I would be happy to take them.
Thank you. Are there any questions by any commissioners?
I have one.
Commissioner Rago?
Yes. Hi, Caitlin. Hope you and your colleagues are doing well. And my first comment is to thank Comcast for working, excuse me, with the city of Wilmington on this extension. Obviously, it's very important for you. It's very important for the city and for all the Comcast subscribers. Obviously, I have some concerns about customer service, and I'm wondering if is there a way you could share something with us that we could share with Comcast subscribers, customers, regarding being able to contact or talk to a representative when they call in. I'm sure you know that it's hard to maneuver the Comcast telephone system. Is there any way you could share the prompts with us that actually get you to a human to discuss?
So Commissioner Rago, thank you for that question. Yes, I can definitely provide something to the city. I can put together maybe a one-pager that can be posted on your website or on social media, whatever works best for you. I can say some of the issues that folks have, a lot of people do want to handle their issues themselves. So yes, sometimes folks prefer to use our app where they can reset a box immediately or things like that. But for those residents who do want to talk to a customer service representative, I know that we've made great investments in our system, but I will make sure that Jessica and I will work to put together a one-pager for you that the city can provide to residents.
Okay, we appreciate that. That would be most helpful because many of the calls we do receive regarding Comcast service is that someone needing to speak to someone because the automatic system or the app does not necessarily address what they're calling about. So that would be most appreciative.
Absolutely.
Thank you. We'll bring some other items into the public hearing that the Comcast could think about, because you all you're doing what others are doing, which is to, as much as possible, stop the cable cord cutting. You want to retain these customers, and of course customer service is probably one of the major reasons why, in addition to the products you offer, one of the major reasons why people decide to stay or leave. So thank you for considering it an important issue, and I think it'll do us a world of good if we could share the process over the telephone system with being able to speak to someone. Thank you, Caitlin.
Thank you.
If I may, Mr. President?
Caitlin. Yes, I do have a question for Caitlin. Caitlin, would the city be able to pre-submit any questions or concerns before that public hearing, just so that when we do meet, you are prepared to answer those questions or concerns?
I would prefer that, please. Yes, it'll help me
Okay.
answer questions. I don't want any residents to be frustrated with us or council, so the more information I have, the more prepared I can be for that meeting.
Okay, all right, thank you. Commissioner Cabrera?
Yes. Now, I just wanted to kind of second what Mr. Rago said with my own personal experiences. I don't mind starting out on the app, but I did have a situation where I really needed to speak to someone. It takes so long before they get you there, and then you do speak to people, and they just did get it finally I connected to a local person and they said, oh, you got to call this number to get us directly. Don't even go through that. So yeah, if there's a way to break through, I don't mind. I'll do whatever I can and not have to tie up human beings, because I understand, you know, the cost savings involved around that. But usually it's a foreigner, they don't understand, and they made a like pretty big mistake on my account. So either way, it's been handled, but having that local person you can speak with just makes a world of difference, and especially for, you know, some of us old heads, you know. Not saying that I'm one, but just saying that some people like that old-fashioned customer service, talking to someone who can talk them through it. So we appreciate that. Are there, I'm sorry, go ahead, Mr. President, I'm done.
Yes, are there any other questions from any commissioners? And if not, anyone from the public?
I don't want to belabor the point. I would like to make one more comment. And that is Councilmember Cabrera, Commissioner Cabrera. I hear what you're saying, and you were kind enough to say, if we don't have to take up a human's time, that's less cost to the company and so on and so forth. But I actually think I don't think that way anymore, simply because we have a customer service system here in the city. And you get greater results if you're able to interact with another person who can help you through these problems. And so, technology is wonderful. But for a lot of people, and it's not necessarily old heads either. I mean, these are people who just simply have a question about their cable service. They don't understand why certain things are on their bills. They don't understand why they can't take off a service. Logic would tell you that if you remove a service that's on your Comcast bill, your bill goes down. But it doesn't necessarily. And you want an explanation of why your bill doesn't go down. So anyway, Caitlin has made it clear that this is a priority for Comcast to improve their customer service. But I believe that Comcast should continue working to make people available for other people to speak to. That's how it should work. And thank you for allowing me my opinion.
Mr. President, Councilmember Fields has a question.
Yes, Commissioner Fields.
Yes, thank you, Commissioner. My question is, and I don't know if this has anything to do with the contract, but what about those members that no longer want Comcast or have Comcast? I know they have to return their boxes, but what about those satellites that's on top of their roof? Has Comcast looked into removing those satellites once they're no longer in use?
The satellites would not belong to Comcast.
Okay.
Usually that is another provider, like a DirecTV or an AT&T.
Commissioner, this is Jerry Lederer. We should have a conversation about the satellite dishes. In legal parlance, they're not known as satellite dishes, they're called an OTARD, an over-the-air receptacle device, and the FCC put some rules in place a number of years ago that favors those. The city of Philadelphia, for instance, put some rules in for locations and removal and wound up getting challenged. So I think we could have a conversation as to what the city could do with respect to removing satellite dishes that are not in use. But I'd like to have that conversation not on a public hearing.
Mr. Chair, if I could just add something to what Jerry said. The Brzezicki administration, we attempted early and back in 2017, 2018 to come forward with a piece of legislation that would have allowed us to remove certain unused OTARDs. Is that what you say, Jerry? Anyway.
That's the term.
No, it is. You're absolutely right. It is. But anyway, we ran into legal hurdles. So Jerry described it correctly. We just couldn't do it. But thank you. We're open. This administration continues to be open to doing something, because what happens is And the council member, Brigida may have been alluding to this. I mean, they're not attractive. They're not being used. They're just remnants, of a previous era. So,
And it could become a public safety issue because if they haven't been properly anchored.
correct.
In Wilmington, we do see a breeze or two.
There you go.
We're not Chicago, but we see a breeze or two, yeah.
Right. Yep. Climate change, Jared. It's called climate change. Okay. Severe weather. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Are there any other commissioners who have any questions? Is there anyone from the public who has a question?
No one here in chambers.
All right, thank you. At this time, I would like to thank everyone for joining us for today's meeting, and I would accept the motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carried. Meeting adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Jessica and Caitlin. My daughter owns a home health care agency.